Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai, and welcome to Jagadambe Reads the Holy Books of India, Mahabharata420. As you may remember, the fight had become general. Chapter 16, Arjuna's horses are tired. The sun was slowly but steadily wheeling its way toward the west. Arjuna was now fighting against time. He was fighting with double the vigor that he had shown at the beginning of the day. Wherever his chariot went, destruction followed in its wake. The skill of Krishna in guiding the horses was a pleasure to see. No one else's chariot could move as fast as that of Arjuna. It roared through the ranks. But the horses of Arjuna began to look tired. They had been yoked to the chariot in the morning. They pulled the chariot with difficulty. They were thirsty and very tired. They had been wounded too by the many arrows which had been shot at them. Since they were divine, these horses could not be killed, but they were tired. Still they passed through the ranks valiantly. It could be seen that the chariot of Arjuna had lost speed. Seeing it, the Kauravas were happy. The spot where Jayadratha was stationed was still far away. The sun had begun to slope slightly toward the west. The horses of Arjuna were tired and they could not go fast. Seeing this, the brother Vinda and Anuvinda of Avanti came and challenged Arjuna. They harassed him, Krishna and the horses too. Arjuna cut off their bows with 2 arrows. They took up other bows and continued to fight. On other days, perhaps Arjuna would have kept up the fight, but today he was hard-pressed for time. He could not afford to waste time fighting duels. He cut off the head of Vinda with a sharp arrow. Anuvinda tried to avenge the death of his brother. He too was killed by the next few arrows. The angry host of the Kauravas fell on Arjuna. He was undaunted. In the midst of the fighting, Arjuna spoke to Krishna. Krishna, Jayadratha is still far away. My horses are fatigued. They've been hurt too much. They're not able to go fast. They must be rested. You must decide what is to be done. Tell me, what should we do now? Krishna said, I've also been feeling the same thing. We must release them from the chariot for a while until they're rested and refreshed. How shall we set about it? Arjuna said, I will fight on foot. You do the needful. Krishna agreed to it. Arjuna descended from the chariot. There was nothing flurried or hurried in his movements. The smile was on his face as though everything was normal. He stood with his Gandiva in his hand. He looked beautiful as he stood there like Kama, the god of love, with his bow made of sugar cane. The Kauravas thought that this was the time to harass him. He had no chariot. He was standing on the ground, an easy target for all of them. So thought the Kauravas. They all surrounded him, even as they had Abhimanyu the previous day. They had a surprise in store for them. Arjuna fighting on the ground was more terrible than Arjuna in the chariot. The army was absolutely helpless against the prowess of Arjuna. In the midst of all this, Krishna came to Arjuna and said, Arjuna, there is no water here. Without satisfying their thirst, how can I yoke the horses to the chariot? Krishna's words were heard by everyone there. Arjuna, with a smile, said, but there is water. Look. Arjuna took up his bow and arrow and, invoking Varuna, he shot an arrow into the ground. Then there came into view a beautiful lake full of sweet, clear water. The lake was bound on all sides by the arrows of Arjuna. He had built a pavilion with myriads of arrows. The army was amazed at his feat. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you for coming. I hope you come again.